On this episode of Blending Bourbon, Dixon and I discuss the impact of social media influencers in our recent tasting with some of the most passionate ones out there.
Blending Bourbon is the podcast that takes you beyond the barrel and behind the scenes of the whiskey industry with master blenders Dixon Dedman and David Mark Young.
Welcome back to another episode of Blending Bourbon. Dixon Dedman, 2XO Whiskey, joined as always by my counterpart, David Mark. I like my whiskey aged, but I like my corn on the cob young, with our ever-present producer, Myerden, the voice of reason in this shit show world that we've created. Happy Thursday. I just got back. I was at Willett with a group tasting some barrels and running around, and the little alarm went off and said, "Hey, you got to go back and present yourself as somewhat put together and talk about things that you hope people want to hear about." So here we are. How are y'all?
Fantastic, Dixon.
Yeah, pretty good, Dixon.
How are you?
It's kind of late night last night, but pushing through, getting through the day.
Late night. What were you doing,
You
Myerden?
go out last night? You go paint the town?
Oh yeah, paint the town, paint some paintings, and late night with the brushes.
So, backstory. David and Myerden and team put together a nice little tasting last night. Virtual tasting. Sent out kits to some really great kind of influencers in the bourbon and whiskey space. And I think pretty much canvass the country, right? With people from East Coast to West Coast and all parts in between. And it was pretty cool. There was a kind of a group chat on Instagram, leading up to this, talking about it and everything. And we did it, it was 7:00 your time, 8:00 my time. I think I got home somewhere between 9:30 and 10:00 my time. Whole nother story about what happened when I got home, but got up this morning and did the things, like looked at my email and whatever, and then popped open the gram and saw I had, like, I don't know, the normal number of kind of messages in my thing, and I clicked on that that kind of group chat, and I think there were somewhere between 100 and 120 messages flying around post me leaving the thing last night. It sounds like it continued, and you all had a good time, and you started giving stuff away. Is that accurate? Did you start start making promises and
There was a virtual after party.
Sounds like.
Yeah, we did. It wasn't intentional. We signed off, and I was looking at the messages I had missed while we were recording, and then I looked up, and there were still people there, and I hadn't logged off, and everybody said, "Are we still going? Are you gonna hang out?" And so everybody came back. A lot of folks came back. Yeah, great group. These are people that they are.
Was the after party recorded? Did you record the after party, Myerden? Is that?
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, as soon as everyone heard end of recording, like eight people dropped off. It's like, oh man, okay, they're probably as tired as everyone else. Like just dropped off, and I'm sitting there with David and that one dude Ryan, and then it's just like just sitting there chatting away. It's just like, all right, now let's now that the recording's over, let's get down to the real fun. And
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I don't know.
Well,
I'm
you
sitting
know how these. I mean, you know, you're on the road. You end up in. I mean, you always end up in somebody's random basement group of people drinking bourbon.
Not anymore. Not anymore. There was a time in my life. Yes, you finish an event. It's like, let's go here. Let's go here. You want to
Right.
go here? It's like, yep. Nope.
We're not basement hopping today.
Um,
It was cool. It was cool. You know, it was a little more personable. It wasn't, you know, we did our presentation thing, but this was just more interaction, get to know them a little bit better. I was grateful for, I get going, man. I start talking. You got to shut me down. You got to, the Energizer Bunny doesn't run out of
I
juice.
sent you a couple of texts. I don't know if you saw those.
I did. I was like, yeah, I knew you had higher priority, you know, family.
No, it wasn't that at all. It's
Obligation.
like, so I've done enough of these, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you kind of you read the room, like you're watching the room. And as soon as you see people, you can tell, even if they're trying to hide it. Like if they start like going to their phone, you know what I mean? If you can tell, and it's like, we're losing them.
Yep. But you know what? That we talked about that a little bit. That they are, for lack of a better term, influencers. And that's what they do. So that's what they were doing. I didn't realize they were doing it all throughout, you know, from the beginning.
Sure.
Because, you know, we had what? How many people we have? 16, 17, 18 Myron?
Yeah,
at
there
one
was
point?
ended up being 18. There was it was 19 total of us.
19 total. So is it, you know, is this
recording.
screen of all these, you know, little tiles, little faces, and you know, we're talking through, you know, presentation or whatever, and I could see people on their phone. What they were doing was they were influencing.
They're posting. Yeah, they're
posting this,
you know,
in real time. I thought that was
100%.
cool. So then I looked down at my phone and it's just pop, all these alerts going off.
And so you have the phone going on too. Meanwhile, in the chat box too, there's a whole other conversation.
I did kind of roast you a little bit in the chat box, and I'm sorry.
That I do have a copy of.
The chat box was pretty funny.
Roasted who? Me?
Maybe a little.
Or Myron? Oh,
no, I'm not messing with Myron. He scares me.
Yeah. He's the one.
He has a removable man bun. I'm not messing with that dude. But you know, let me say this. When we launched Kentucky Owl, and you know, we did everything it was Facebook. We did everything like through Facebook, all our, you know, interaction and stuff. And there weren't Instagram lives, and there weren't, YouTube wasn't a thing, and TikTok wasn't a thing. And, you know, people had followers, they were in groups, you participated in, you know, like chatting in groups. But it was, and then when I got involved with Stoli, it was all print and digital media. It was, you know, I would go to New York and I would spend, and you know, you'd go, and it was like, oh, you know, we secured 30 minutes with somebody at the New York Times. Oh, we secured 45 minutes with somebody at Bloomberg. Oh, we secured 30 minutes with somebody at Forbes. This person's coming to the office. They write for Rob Report, or, you know, and it was like, if you can get one, you know, if you can get on their like online, an online article, an online, you know, that's like a huge win. If you can get something in print in their physical touch magazine, that's a win of all wins. And it was, these are career writers. I mean, that's what they do for a living. They're freelancers, or they you know, they and it was, you know, you had to be so kind of buttoned up and put together. I was going to these interviews in like suits, and, you know, making these presentations and trying to be, you know, me. Well, I'm not trying to be me, you know, me, I'm just me. I just, my, it was my authentic hillbilly self, just in a suit. Um,
Effortless.
but that was, and it's crazy how then a score in a print version of Whiskey Advocate would like move the needle. A print, um, and it's just it's amazing now. I mean, when we do these releases, yes, are we still talking to the kind of the old guard in terms of the whiskey writers and the people who have a following? Does Fred Minnick still do huge things for your brand if he, mentions you? Absolutely. Advocate, all of them.
Yep.
Great, 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 great. The new magazines that are, things like that. But it's become so important to create and facilitate relationships with um, this group of people. And I don't think it's just the bourbon industry, but it's this group of people who have become passionate about something and have created a space, their own space, where they also, move the needle and change
Mhm.
things. I mean, there were people on there last night that I have done, virtual tastings with for our products that were set up by the PR agency we work with. Um, that and some of those people, one that was missing last night is a great dude, Frank. Frank came to an event we did in New York and was down. I missed him, I was out of town, but and he wrote a great piece for something, not I think Whiskey Wash. But these people also are not the traditional media.
Right.
They want an experience. Like they want to get to know you. They want to shoot the shit. They want to riff you. They want to know, um, like they want to be able to share an experience that's not, oh, I get this when I go to a tasting room. That's not what they're
Right.
after. They want like a different, unique and, um, not, I mean, not to say not authentic, but like they're they're passionate, they're like super fans of the industry and are sharing, their kind of what stirs something in them about brands and different things. And it's like a whole different, but becoming equally if not more important than kind of catering to traditional outlets,
Right.
if any of that makes sense. And so
Absolutely. Yeah. I gave up mainstream television years ago, and so I'm not familiar with commercials. Traditional TV commercials anymore. That's one of the reasons I gave it up. I prefer on demand. I'm going to watch TV when I'm going to watch it, not when you're going to release it. I'm not going to plan my life around that. Um, but it's,
pin a rose on your freaking nose. But
I mean, it's time management is what it boils down to for me. Um, but just saying, so that this is my world. Social media is my world. This is my news source. This is my, what's going on in the world. Um, and it's also on demand. You get it when you get it. You're not force fed it, or you're not given a schedule and this is when you get your information. But it's interesting is where I'm going with it. It's how things have evolved. And I was trying to think, back to, for whatever reason, Henry McKenna, 10-year bottled bond sticks out in my mind. When that was it's a reference point to me. I don't know, 2015, 16-ish. They won an award. It was, prior to that, you could find it anywhere for $25 in a liquor store. And then once it went viral on social media that it won this award and people started doing, and everybody predicted it. This is going to be the new allocated product. This is going to be the new. So, I mean, to me, that's things begin a pivot. It was an evolution, and I just remember prior to that, things seemed a little bit different. Even as social media was beginning to evolve, things 10 years have really transpired into something completely different. But it is such a major channel for disseminating information. Even TikTok. I mean, TikTok. We were in a conversation about medical something, and I forget. I asked, where'd you get that? Where'd you hear that information? They said TikTok, and it just got a chuckle out of it, because I thought, when did TikTok become the authority on the latest medical information? But that's the reality of it. It's become a reliable source for some people. I choose not to watch TV, but I get my worldly status updates and everything from social media. It's changed a lot, and I'm sure in your experience, even more so. From sitting down in your suits with the New York Times to spending time with 19 influencers drinking whiskey over the internet.
It's funny. When I think it was 2018, maybe. I went to New York, and it was a marathon of media visits. They were like one to one, next. Like we're jumping all over the city, in and out of cabs, and we go to see this guy who's become a great friend. Written many books and about whiskey, and just he has an absolutely incredible palate. He is a wealth of knowledge, and he's just a cool ass dude. I didn't know him, hadn't heard of him at that time. I think he was like the assistant editor of I don't know. I mean, it was like the editorial section of the New York Times, but he also wrote on whiskey, cheese, and architecture.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, I've heard about this. I'd love to meet Dixon. I've got 20 minutes. Can we meet in the New York Times cafeteria? And the PR team was freaking pumped. So we're in the cafeteria. We get like the 12 ounce, 16 ounce plastic reusable cups from the fountain machine. And we start drinking, I think it was like batch 2 of the rye and batch 8 of Kentucky Owl bourbon. And I'm like, okay, we got 20 minutes. I like ran through this thing real fast in 20 minutes. And he's, he's dressed like in a hoodie, and I'm in a suit, and I, feel out of place or whatever. We have another appointment, like 10-minute sprint away. And he reaches over and grabs the rye again and pours more and keeps talking. He reaches over, finishes that bourbon again, pours a third. And I look at the PR person, and I was like, I thought, don't we have to go? Do we need to get out of here? And she's like, you shut up and you keep talking. And I was like, oh,
your handler.
Okay. And it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and we walk out of there. And I was like, oh my gosh, are we in so much trouble? Like, have we screwed up? And they, and they're like, this is the New York frickin' Times. If they wanted to stay there until midnight, we were going to stay there until midnight and hang out. And it's, I have a million stories like that. I broke a cork off in a bottle at Bloomberg one time, and like total sleight of hand or whatever. I don't know how I did it. Like vice gripped just one little bit of the cork and like got it out so that she didn't see it. And the people were like, that was amazing. And I was like, I did that.
Nice.
Or,
audible.
Being in Shanken's office and they come into the tasting and they're like, Mr. Shanken would like to visit with you. we go into Marvin Shankin's office and like hang out with Marvin for a little bit. And but that was like how you did it then. You had to go and you had to get these and you had to, and it's cool and it's fun and whatever. But I enjoy in a different way this new thing is like, yeah, these people are like, they have day jobs, they're real people, and this is just their passion, and they just want to like connect and talk about what you're doing and maybe have a little inside scoop and maybe be able to like post something that is unique and interesting, and it moves the needle. Like it's crazy the way it just like the game has changed. The game is, as you said, always evolving, but it's like a really kind of fun and easy. I feel like I'm a lot better at 8:00 at night after a couple pours than I am like, you put your suit on and we have to walk into this little glass conference room with a recorder in front of you. And I feel like I'm at a deposition or something like that for, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Like you're talking to Congress. That's the thing too. Things have evolved to this whole new virtual way of doing things. I mean, think about how much effort goes into that. I was just talking with somebody last night about like remote working, and how COVID changed that for a lot of people. I was working remote since 2014 and then COVID happened and everybody's kind of flailing about because they have to set their workstations up at home. And, I was like, I've been doing this for years and it's great. If I want to get up right out of...
You can take porn off somebody's computer remotely.
We'll have to have a podcast on what cybersecurity is and what David Mark Young actually did back during those days. It's you might be a little surprised. It's I dealt with very little porn, but I have an interesting story about that actually when I worked for one of the 3-letter agencies. And
well, do tell.
We're not going to go into that on here.
But got a lot of unhappy listeners now.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint. I probably need to submit some requests and some, no kidding. You actually, I think you signed a lifetime agreement. Yeah, I worked for a national security agency. So you have to sign a lifetime agreement to, if you publish anything or I could be opening up a new can of worms.
I don't think, what did you say? A 3-letter
agency.
Yeah. So NASA's not going to care. Go on and
NASA won't give a shit. No,
yeah.
It's the CIA, the NSA, the NRO, the DIA, all those, the FBI. Yeah. No. Cybersecurity was something else. It was probably put all 9 of our listeners to sleep if I went into that on this podcast. We talk about more interesting things like drinking whiskey and bourbon and rye and all those things. But no, this evolution to me is interesting. When you think about how much effort went into you packing your bags, scheduling your trip, getting, flying cross country, staying the night in a hotel, it's just a big to do, right? And then next morning you get up, you get your suit on, you got to go navigate New York traffic and, make your way up to the 50th floor or whatever to do a 30-minute interview. And now here we are, we sat down with 19 influencers with pretty heavy influence, right? I mean, these folks they've worked hard to develop their follower base, and it's cool because it's some of them are competitive too. They're trying to be the most unique. They're trying to get in with, they know the industry. That's one thing is I didn't ask the question last night, but I really wanted to. I just assumed. I made a comment about, I don't know why you do this. I assume it's because you love it. You're passionate about it. But I find that so interesting too. I don't mean to get so far off topic here, but it is addictive, especially in the whiskey world. I mean, the same way, right? I can go back and look at some of my Instagram showing my pretty pictures of my bottles and, just rooting around the liquor store looking for things and excited to announce to my 25 followers that I found a rare bottle of whatever. But
no,
it's
I
a
get that,
powerful
but
thing.
it's also so yeah, like now I still, you travel, you develop these distributor relationships, and have to cultivate those. You create retailer relationships, right? I mean, there's in every market, there's anywhere from say 6 to 10 to 25 retailers, which is kind of, they're where people go to get their stuff.
Right.
Have good barrel programs, so you cultivate those. Um, and then we've talked about this, I always try to cultivate those consumer relationships. Like, how do we get involved with that local society, that local bourbon society, those different groups and things like that. But you have, so two examples from last night, like Lynn, she's
The whiskey gal
the whiskey gal.
out of Chicago.
And so I'm gonna take, but Lynn posted something about that brand out of Indiana the other day, which
Starlight.
no,
Yeah.
and I had their stuff the last time I was up there, but I mean, like that post, Lynn's post about that, that's going to do amazing things for that brand. And she's, she just, that's better than any advertising money that they could spend is to get, her to say, this is how I, relax, recharge my batteries, and that. Another one, and not, I guess I didn't realize Lynn was Chicago, but like Chris Blattner, who was on there last night, who's become a good buddy. Last time we hung out a couple times in Chicago, but Chris does this thing called Fresh Pops on his Instagram. It's actually not called Fresh Pops. It's called Fresh Paps. It's Fresh Paps. And so he's constantly getting something new, something different, something small, something independent, something that, people may not be familiar with.
Right.
Gives a very candid review of it, and that exposure to his audience for those brands is huge.
Yeah,
is huge, and that that opportunity, like, to get in front of those people's followers, that didn't exist 5 years ago. It's like a whole new, kind of, and it's amazing. I mean, what they've done, the content they create, the work they do. I mean, it's not just I'm just going to turn on my iPhone and videotape myself for a second.
right.
I did that for a while. I did videos of myself doing silly stuff during COVID, those whiskey in the box things, and I mean, cool, funny, but they they take it a step further. It looks professional. It's good. It's but it is amazing what a lot of these people have accomplished and how impactful they are. I think there are a lot of brands that don't get that. Like, they don't understand that, that's such a, cultivating those relationships, staying on after, hanging out in the David Mark Young party room. Like, that's
After hours.
I think what you did last night for, with that is going to pay significant dividends for Golden Chief. And it's a good move on your part.
Well, thanks. I it's a two-way street too. Hard Truth, by the way, that's what Lynn had posted the other day. Hard Truth Spirits. Yeah, it's it's got the ripple effect, right? So there will be follow on, there will be additional sharing, there will be additional conversations, there were also relationships cultivated. There were, I mean, there's a long list of, you know, return on that investment. When you compare that to, you know, a billboard, or, you know, renting a billboard space for a month, or
Yeah, man, it's like these dumbasses that like wrap their cars and stuff. No one cares about this stuff. It's like,
oh, they care, trust me. it, I'm driving this Target around now. It's you know,
puke mobile. It's a puke
it's
mobile.
good Lord. From the moment I drove it down the road, you know, picked it up and drove it down the road, the College World Series is happening here in Omaha, and I've been down there multiple times just to drive it around. And good gosh,
Are you
it's
getting like, when can do you like kind of throw out beads to women who flash you and stuff
I
like that
need
yet?
to
Or is that,
find something to have. I mean, yeah, I can't hand out little 50 ml bottles or anything like that, but the amount of people that approach it and just like, I don't know, it doesn't say come talk to me on the side of it, but it's just a big billboard for the brand.
are people
It,
honking at you a lot?
people are constantly hawking. That's what I mean.
That's
It's a
so
Target.
funny. I paid
And I'm
Myron like $100 to put a honk if you're horny sticker on the back of that thing. You obviously haven't
Oh,
noticed it
now,
yet.
now he
literally,
knows. Now he knows.
I was just driving back just an hour ago from our, we were building out that tasting room, and this car was laying on the horn, and I thought, I wonder if I hit somebody and I'm like dragging some body part around or something. Why are they honking? And finally, after like 3 red lights, this guy pulls up and he's like, "Where are you heading, man? I got to get a bottle." And he
So you
was
just pitched one
honking
out
at
the
me.
window, like, here you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. It's, and that was just, you know, regular road here out here in Omaha.
Yeah,
But yeah,
regular.
downtown, the big crowds, you get these crowds crossing the streets heading to Cultural Series, and they're
It's just a Thursday.
just a Thursday. Yeah. But no, it is huge. It's very huge. Why? I don't understand why, you know, some of the bigger brands haven't embraced it. You know, you see celebrities tied to big brands, and good gosh. And I mean, here's an idea. Go hire a diverse group of 100 influencers to work directly. I mean, literally invest some money. This is all free stuff. You know, have a conversation, give them a bottle, and they're free advertising. Imagine if you paid them. Imagine if you outfitted them with swag
Oh,
and
that
information.
takes the then they're not authentic anymore. Then they're not. Then they're
True,
Yeah,
true,
yeah, because
but
yeah, that does raise an interesting question. If you did start influencing the influencers, like how, like then their passion for that, the almost like I want to maintain my authenticity, and now I feel obligated to do a good review on this thing.
yeah,
Like you know,
I think
I
that's
don't
what
know. Would that that could possibly change?
it could. You know, and that's the other thing is, you know, most. I'm not saying you can't buy influencers. I'm sure there are influencers that can be bought, but like, you know, look at Fred Minnick, for example. I mean, he's not promoting Fred Minnick t-shirts. I mean, you know, you can get Fred Minnick swag, but he's positioned himself, you know, him and his knowledge base and experience. And Fred's, you know, very established, and he's, you know, a great author. He's, you know, very knowledgeable, um, all the things. But I mean, he's taking these other brands and he's, you know, putting their information out as an authoritative figure within this realm, within this universe, and people listen to him. You know, so his sphere of influence is pretty broad, but he's got direct ties to, um, you know, I'm not saying anybody's paying him or anybody's giving him things and saying, Fred, say this. I would assume, you know, the few conversations I've had with Fred, they give him stuff and then he just gives the raw truth, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent about, you know, but it's Fred's opinion.
what I respect the most about Fred is that Fred's personal opinion and Fred's authenticity and Fred's belief that he needs to be honest and share his thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent, are the reason that Fred is doing what he's doing now. That Fred, is pursuing the path that Fred is on. And I'm not Fred Minnick. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to speak for Fred Minnick. I'm not, but as someone who has been in a situation where what you truly believe in, what you think is right for you, for your brand, for what you want to accomplish, is being somewhat managed by someone else, and you have the you can either say, okay, fine, I'll do whatever you want me to do, or you can say, you know what, I am, I gotta be me. I gotta stick to my guns. I gotta do what's important to me. And I think that, there's some correlation to what Fred did, and leaving whatever he was doing before, and so but I also think that that's what makes that group that we had last night, and those that are akin to that group, that's what makes this whole new opportunity really special, is because they are not paid. Yeah, they get free bottles. Yeah, you send them free bottles, and they, but they're, and I also love the fact that a lot of them, like, if they don't like it, they're not going to go trash it. They're not, these people have like good, good hearts. They, it's not like they're out to destroy anybody.
Right.
They're in a position where they can help people. They're in a position where they can share things and help people make educated decisions on, and introduce things to people. And they're, the really good ones, like what we had, last night, and some of the other ones, they're, they're bucket fillers. They're, you know what I mean? And like, that's what a friend of mine talks about. He's like, be a bucket filler, be, and if, I mean, I think generally speaking, most of that crew is, they're not interested in tearing anything down, and not going to go that route. They're interested in sharing new opportunities with the people that go to them for information, and things that they like, not things that they dislike. And it's it's you had sent me something about negative negative reviews, and
Sure.
and I'll just say this, and then we'll leave it for another day. But I don't believe that, we all have our own opinions. Like, we all have our own palettes. We have things we like and we don't like, and there are things that you're gonna like that I'm not gonna like, and they're, whatever.
Right.
And objective opinions are warranted, welcome, and everybody has the opportunity to express their own opinion. The negativity because you have an axe to grind, or you just want to be an asshole. I've in my life, whether that's the restaurant life or whatever, like, I just don't even choose to go there. Like, those things used to keep me up at night, and I just, you just can't please everybody. And, and I think that, if you don't have anything nice to say, you probably just shouldn't say anything at all, especially if you're just trying to hurt somebody for no real good reason. And that's why I like this community, like that group. When you sent me that list of the people that you were going to connect with last night, and we talked about, what we were doing, it's like, these are these are bucket fillers. Like they're just good people, and it's a great way to get your message and your story out there, and what you're doing. And you can be yourself, and you don't have to wear a suit. You don't have to, it's just like, let's just hang out and share some good whiskey and tell some stories and enjoy each other's company. And if you like what we're doing, like so many of them went crazy over some of the stuff you sent last night, and I couldn't be happier for you. I mean, I think that's amazing. You created relationships and won fans last night, and by just being, you. And that's really, you don't have to go pay for this stuff anymore. You don't have to go pay for these ads. You don't have to go pay for these, the quickest way to get a story back in the day in one of these big print magazines was to spend $1 gajillion advertising in them.
Yeah.
It's just different now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
and I will say,
long rant over.
Good rant. Shut it down. You shut your mouth and sit here and talk to the New York Times, Dixon. I love that, by the way. It reminded me of a line from Wedding Crashers. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Anyway, I agree. And I think every one of those, we'll be putting content out, right, Myerton, that we captured last night.
Yep. There's a lot of good stuff from last night, and everyone, special shout out will be in the show notes of everyone that participated. But yeah.
Yeah. And I went and I, over the last couple of weeks, kind of ramping up to last night's event, I went and took time to look at each one of their spheres of influence and their content. And it's impressive. It's as professional as it gets, so these people nobody's doing their social media. They're doing their social media. They're, they're all talented and successful because of, like you said, they're putting hard work in, and they're passionate about it. You could tell by their videos and that's what I love. And then, I think we're passionate about our things too. And so you get in there and there's just this, exchange of passions, and it reciprocates, and it just creates, it's one of the many reasons why I love this world that we're in. Those people make it
that was a very
enjoyable.
passionate statement that you just made right there. There's a lot of passion in that statement.
There's a lot of, as I said, passion 5 or 6 times.
It was a couple times. Yeah.
Passion, reciprocating passion. It's great. I love it. It's the spirit industry, right? It should be passionate. So that's going to be the next expression that we're putting out. I do want to, since we're talking about this, and I think we're wrapping up, just thank all the folks that, and maybe we can tag them in this episode when we put it out, but thank each and every one of them for taking their time, spending it with us, providing feedback, just very considerate, and the content that they put out, gosh, it was, I think we broke the internet for a minute when everybody was blasting stuff out.
Yeah. Thank you for your passion.
Thank you for your passion. Thanks for bringing your passion to the virtual passion tasting.
I could feel the passion.
It's still, I was happy
the passion was palpable.
Well, good talk. I would love to revisit some of this.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's get Fred on here. We're starting, I think, matter of fact, next week, we've got a special guest joining us. And we're going to start to include guests on future episodes. We've got some really cool ones lined up. We've talked about it, but
I am passionate about what we've got coming up.
I'm passionate about you being passionate. It's very passionate. How's your passion level? I mean, Myron.
I am fresh out of passion. I am barely maintaining myself right now. It's just like I've been passionate for like the last 47 minutes.
I'm gonna send you a big box of passion as soon as we get off here. A big old load of passion coming your way.
I'm gonna make a passion fruit cognac.
I was just reading this bottle here. It literally says produced and bottled by a lot of really passionate people. If that looks familiar to you.
Yeah. Oh, my passion just moved up a notch.
2XO, aka passion.
And then the Phoenix does arise, right?
Liquid passion.
It's 2XO is actually passion in hieroglyphics. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah.
I thought so. I just had that tattooed on my back as a tramp stamp.
Just above the other one that says Pen 15. Yeah. All right.
We better wrap this up.
Okay.
Cheers,
Peace
everybody.
out. Love you.
Like, share, subscribe. Love you too. Hugs and kisses. Cheers, everybody.